We're going to look at how to change a set of brake pads whilst out riding. The first thing we need to know is when do we need to change our brake pads. So the material on the brake pads needs to be enough so that the spring in between the two pads will stay on there if I wiggle it side to side. If it's getting close to there not being enough material to keep the spring in, or the spring when wiggled comes off, we need to change them. So let's go through how to change them. First thing you need to do is look at your brake caliper and work out how the brake pads come out. In this particular case, they come out of the top. Some calipers you need to unbolt them, take the caliper off and pull them out of the bottom. So on this caliper we need to remove the retaining pin, and to do that it's got a clip on the end of it we need to take off first. So I'm going to get my pliers that I carry in my kit. Makes it much easier to get the pin off. Tiny little bit of a tiny little component, so make sure you put that somewhere safe. Then my multi-tool. I need my multi-tool to get the pin out. In this case it's a screw-in pin. In other cases it might be a split pin which you'd pull out with your pliers, and technically you should replace it with a brand new pin every time, whereas this one can be reused. Again, put that somewhere safe, and then we can pull our brake pads out of the caliper. We can have a look at those. So yeah, they're a bit past it, so we're going to put another set in. When I'm on the trail, the spare brake pads I carry are half worn, so I've had them in my bike for a couple of weeks and then taken them out again, put them in my spare kit. And the reason for this is, rather than using brand new ones on the trail, as the brake caliper adjusts, it pushes the pistons further out of the caliper to make the brakes stay at a constant bite point. If I have new brake pads and try and get them in, I'll really struggle to get them in because they're wider than the gap, whereas if you have half worn ones they should slot in nicely. So let's see how these ones go in. There we go, and they've got those in nice and easily. So we're going to line the holes up visually in the pads and the caliper, get my pin. I might need to wiggle it into place and then do the pin back up again. Not too tight. Find that tiny little spring. Some sets of brake pads come with a new one of these each time. Pop that in my pliers. Locate that back in place. I'm just going to give my brake a squeeze to make sure it feels positive. Roll the bike forwards. Check that it works. Job done.